Today I want us to do data fetching in Next.js. So first of all, because we are doing data fetching, at least I need to have we need to have some kind of data, and that's why I have created my backend here, my backend folder here, which has db.json. So this is what I will serve with what we call json-server. So to do json-server, it is very easy for me. I just created a folder known as backend, navigated to the backend folder, and then I went ahead and installed json-server. And then after installing it, add my, of course I add my data ready, and then you go ahead and run. So you say npx json-server db.json, and your app will, your backend server will be running, right? Yes, so here it is. When I open it, you can see I have blogs. I can even view individual ones, and that's how I have my data ready. So now, how can we fetch data in Next.js? So you need to use, we have 3 of them, by the way. So we have what we call SSR, so server-side rendering, and then we have static site generation, and then we have client-side fetching. So for us, we'll go ahead and do static site generation, that is SSG. Before we go to SSG, there are some few terms you'll be hearing from me. For example, server-side components and client-side components. So these two, server-side components are components that are rendered on the server, right? So by default, every component created in Next.js is a server-side component. So the HTML is generated on the server and sent to the client, which improves the performance and SEO. All right? So server-side components are actually static and are not interactive. They are never, they are not actually interactive. But now, talking about client-side components are components that run entirely on the browser. So they are interactive and can use what we call React hooks. For example, they use effect, a new state, and even use memo. So so how can you make a server-side component? Because I said by default, all the components created in Next.js are server-side. So to make it client-side, we use what we call use client in quotes. Use client in quotes. By doing this, it will allow you to now use, you can use the React hooks. For example, use state and use effect. So that's the 2 terms I wanted you to understand, because we'll be using use client. Sometimes you just use server-side components like the way we are using this one, and then sometimes you can use client-side components. Okay, so now how can I fetch data from my blocks using what we call static site generation? So what is SSG first? So the SSG allows you to fetch data at build time and generate static HTML. It fetches data while you are building it and then generate static HTML. This is actually ideal for content that does not change more often, right? For example, blogs and marketing pages and the rest. So if your data does not need to be updated more often, you can use what we call SSG. So now let me navigate to Next.js documentation, go to data fetching, and then data fetching and caching. So on the first, you'll find this code, data fetching and caching, and then you can see this code. So we have 2 options, TypeScript and JavaScript. So for me, I'm doing it with JavaScript. So I'll just copy this these 2 lines. So again, you need to note that this one is exporting default, and then we have a sync here. So I'll come here, I'll delete this, paste it, and then default, and then I'll add a sync. That way. So by doing this, and then now I will change the URL to be my own, and then you are good to go, right? So this is how you can fetch data on a server side, by the way. So if you can notice, this page is still a server-side component. I have not used to use client. So this is how you can fetch data on a server-side component. All right. So when you go and check my page, where is it? Here we go. You can see we have my blog posts displaying. Now, so there's something that we also need to do because if you can check my data, you'll realize that we have images, right? And I need to display them. So I'll just come to my map here. Inside, I'll add image. So remember, this is how we can add image in Next.js. So we need to use what we call image tag, which is self-closing tag, and it is imported from next/image. You can see here, next/image, and then source. So I'll say post.image. I'll pass an alternative text here, which is post.title, and then we have the width of 200, height of 200, and then we can also add what we call layout. Layout to be responsive. So this way, it will allow responsive. By doing this, it will allow your application to be responsive based on the container that's actually holding it. So after doing that, you can see we have the images. So don't forget to add what we call what is it? Don't forget to add this domain to your next.config.js file. If you don't add this, it will not allow you to display images. For example, if I remove this, you'll realize that it will give you an error. Let me reload it. Okay, taking time. You can see. So it will tell you it has an invalid host name. So ensure that you add the domains. So if you have a domain that is, if you are using images from a domain, you add that domain here. All right. Yes. So that's how you can fetch data on server side. Again, don't. So after doing this, I want to challenge you to do something. To go through what we call caching and revalidation on a server-side rendering, and then you can check maybe in the near future, right? Okay, now that I've done the data fetching on the server side, now I want to try to do data fetching on the client side. All right, so I'll just remove all this and then remove async again. Remember to do it in a client side, of course. I need to do add a line here that is use client. That is a must. And then go ahead, sorry for that, go ahead to the documentation, scroll down until you see what we call fetching data on the client, this one. Right, so you can see this is how you fetch data. First of all, you create a useState variable, which is normal, and then inside your use effect, you perform the data fetching, and then you check if we have the data. If we don't have the data, display a spinner or a loading message, and then go ahead and display it. So I'll copy that the way it is, come inside here, I'll paste that. Alright, so this is our useState variable to store our posts. Come here, create an async, fetch posts, and then come here again, change the URL. Oh, sorry for that. Change the URL. I'll copy that URL, and then I'll paste it here. Remove that. Localhost 3000. Oh, sorry for that. What did I do? It should be /blogs. That way, and then you await, and then you set posts, and then you just call the fetch posts. So if you don't have the posts, display the loading, otherwise display the posts. Of course, after doing that, you also need to import the useState, and then use effect, right? and then you can now come and check your browser. Let me refresh, and then let's see where the problem is. Okay, so you can see it is fetching data the same as the server side that we did initially. All right. Yes, so remember this one, if you reload, you can see loading, and then it will display the data. So that's how you can fetch data on a client side. Now, if you realized on the last time, when I click on any of these blocks, it will take me to another page, which you need to fetch an individual block. So what you just need to do is very simple. First of all, last time I added the title on the dynamic link. So today I want to change it to ID, because now my data has an ID, you can see. So you just pass it as an ID, and then when I click on it, let me just go back to blogs. When I click on this, you can see it will take you to this page, and it has an ID of 3. So now I do want to fetch an individual data inside this page, which is a dynamic page. So what I will do, first of all, there's something that you need to change. So last time I did just print the param, which is the parameter, which is the ID, directly. So we don't do that on a client side, right? So first of all, I will first come here, and then I'll say use client. That is first thing, of course. And then inside here, and then before you import all, before you proceed with the other code, you import all the necessary, which is use effect, use state, also you need what we call use, right? Yes, so use hook is actually for unwrapping a promise, especially when you are dealing with params. So I'll just come inside here, I'll create a variable, I'll call it unwrapped params, and then I'll say is equals to, and then I'll say use. It is a hook that stays that way, and then you pass params. So by doing this, you can now be able to get the block ID. So when you come here, and you can see it will still be displaying the same way it was displaying. Now I'll go ahead to my page here, all right, and then I will copy all of this the way it is. I'll come here and I'll paste the way it is. The only thing that I need to add here is the ID, right? The unwrapped ID, right? So I'll just copy this unwrapped params, and then I'll pass a comma here, perform a string interpolation here, and then you pass the ID, and then I change this one to be backticks, that way. So by doing this, you'll be able to fetch the post, right? So now I will change these posts to be post, right? I'll change all of these posts to be post, right? Because I'm fetching a single post. And then set post again should be set post instead of saying set posts. And then now inside here, you will now display the individual blog, right? So what I will do, I'll just copy what I have again here inside the map. I'll just copy the way it is, and then I'll come here and then I'll paste. I can even remove these borders, or I can just leave it this way, and then I'll move it, and then I save it, and then let's check it. So fail to construct image, use the new operator. Okay. The image, of course I have not imported the image. Import image from next image. Okay, and then let's see it. You can see now it is actually displaying. The only thing that I need to remove is the layout, because the layout is making it too large, and then we can check it. Alright, let me refresh again. You can see now the image is small, but it is fetching an individual block. That's how we do it. That is, we do it in SSG, right? That's how we do it in SSG, in the client side and in the server side. Otherwise, that's all for today. See you in the next one.